And then he goes on to something that's easier. Don't be envious. Don't be jealous. And this is important because he's talking to people in the church. You guys have read, if you've read 1 Corinthians, this church is just a mess. It's not a perfect church like this one. This church is a mess. And what's going on is you have people with different spiritual gifts. Some people have flashy spiritual gifts. They can speak in tongues. They can heal people. Some people have really flashy gifts. Some people don't have gifts that are that flashy. But the people with the flashier gifts are full of themselves and using their gifts, and especially speaking in tongues in an inappropriate way, because that's it's flashy. It's much more exotic than just having a kind heart of hospitality. That's normal. That's, quote, boring. And so there's tension, there's frustrations, there's envy in the congregation because of this. And so what Paul's really getting at is being jealous of other Christians because you're not like them. That's really what he's getting at. Why would a Christian feel this way? Why would we be tempted to be jealous of other Christians, especially Christians in our church, or the Christians we rub shoulders with most of the time? The reason why I think we could be jealous of other Christians is because we're not happy with the way God made us. We want to be made like other people. We want to be able to do things that other people can do. We start thinking, instead of taking what Paul said in 1 Corinthians 12 to heart, 1 Corinthians 12:7, to each is given the manifestation of the Spirit for the common good. We all are different pieces of this whole, and we work together to do what God wants us to do. And instead of seeing ourselves as a small but important piece of a larger thing, we think in individual categories. We think of, why can't I do those things? Why don't I have that gift? Why aren't I like this person? Why am I me? And what that really means is we're just not happy with the way God made us. We haven't come to terms with the fact that God didn't make you to be like that person. God didn't make that person to be like you. And that maybe you are the way you are with the gifts you have because that's the way God wants you to be. But instead, even back then, we're tempted to frame things individually. What does this gift do for me, instead of, what does this gift that God's given me, how can I use it for him? Instead, it's, why can't I have more? Why can't I be like this person? Why can't I be like this person, instead of, I'm glad God made me to be me and not someone else? Instead of loving God and then loving your brothers and sisters, knowing that you all work together to form this unit, instead of that, you want more gifts because even though we don't realize it, we really seem to love ourselves more than the community sometimes. So I think the main thing with the envy and the jealousy, that you're not like other Christians, why can't you have this gift, why can't you do that? We're just not happy with the way God made us. Because our love is so apt to turn, instead of our love being upward for God and then outward toward our brothers and sisters in the brotherhood of faith, it's so tempted to just pull a subtle U-turn, even if it's a big like a semi-truck U-turn. It's going to take a long time. We're still tempted to pull a U-turn and start turning our love inward toward ourselves. And so we get jealous of other Christians. We get jealous because we can't do what they can do. We need to ask God to not let us look at our brothers and sisters with envy and jealousy. We need to pray to God and say, God, help me be happy with who you've made me to be. Lord, don't let me spend my life wishing I were the person next to me. Help me to be grateful that I'm the person that you made me to be. Say, Lord, give me peace about being the way you made me. Teach me to pair my gifts with everyone else's gifts in the congregation so we can serve the Lord together, bringing all of our gifts to the table instead of highlighting me or him or her, highlighting your community for you instead of turning inward and focusing